Well, welcome back to Legacy Builders. Thanks for joining us today. And we have our good friends, Jimmy and Destiny on today, and we're just excited to hear about them. And thank you so much for joining us on Legacy Builders. And Madison, why don't you?
So Jimmy's a familiar face. So you've seen him with his wife, Tashara. And now we've got the dad-daughter duo. And we have Destiny on, which she is an incredible woman. Like, just so passionate and so entrepreneurial. Like, she is just going for it. And she is just amazing. Gorgeous, obviously, like, just has really got it all going. But a great friend. I'm truly so glad to know Destiny. But yeah, so we're excited to have her on tonight to kind of walk everybody through the dad and daughter relationship and legacy and just parent-kid relationship, coming from somebody who's still young, just walked through that season of parenting. So yeah, Destiny, to start, if you want to tell us just a little bit about you, a little bit of what it was like growing up.
Well, I was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and grew up here in Smyrna, Tennessee. I have a brother and a sister. I'm the middle child, so I have the middle child syndrome. But
Tell us, like, what was it like growing up with your sister and brother? What was it like having Jimmy as a dad?
Yeah, what is this middle child syndrome that you're experiencing?
Well, I'm the one that's usually left out or not thought about the most. For example, I'm the child with less baby pictures.
Oh.
So when we're going through baby pictures, there are hardly any baby pictures of me, but you've got plenty of good old Josh and plenty of Tiffany. My pictures are lacking in that department. But
Jimmy, what do you have to comment on that? What do you have to say about that, Jimmy?
They say they forgot to take pictures.
There are plenty of pictures of Destiny and Tiffany together because they were always together.
We were always together.
Yeah.
And you're still always together. We'll get into that more later. But
I mean, you guys are pretty close in age, right? You and Tiffany?
We're 17 months apart.
17 months apart. All right. I never knew exactly how many months it was, so that's pretty close in age.
Yep. And me and Joshua are 5 years apart.
Yeah. So you and your sister have a pretty good relationship. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, we're 17 months apart, so my mom would always like dress us alike. People used to think that we were twins. If Tiffany would do one thing, then I was going to do one thing, or if I went to go do one thing, Tiffany went to go do one thing. We were homeschooled together when we were younger. We did a lot with my mom. She would take us to the library, go to the park. I remember homeschooling specifically. We would start our morning routine, and then we'd go to the library and do like circle time, and then come back and have like 4 hours of like English, math, all that. And then like as our schooling was over, we would go outside and play with the neighbors and just enjoy being kids.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Jimmy, what was it like to have you two girls? Your first two girls, just so close in age, and you know, dads are really protective of their girls, of their daughters. So now you got two of them, 17 months apart. What's that like?
You know what? I don't. I don't know if it's because I have short-term memory or what, but you know, I don't. With my girls, I don't remember a lot of challenges with them. Um, they were pretty. They 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 behaved pretty well, and when they didn't, I got on to them. But it wasn't like, I don't know. It's, what I remember with them is being involved in, they played soccer. So I coached their soccer teams. They'd be on the same soccer team. So I was very involved. And then when they were involved with them as they were playing sports, you know, if there were any type of like daddy daughter events. I know Chick-fil-A, I don't know if they still do this, but Chick-fil-A would do a daddy daughter date night. And
Okay.
so
Love that.
they turn, in the one in Smyrna, they would transform their restaurant into this environment where the fathers could bring their daughters to dinner. And so, I remember us doing things like that, and and so, you know, people always growing up, or not growing up, but as as um as I would interact with other guys who had girls, they would always say, "Man, raising girls is a challenge. They're going to challenge you. They're going to push you." And I didn't get to experience that, with Tiffany and Destiny. They were pretty, for the most part, they were great kids, well focused, knew what they wanted to achieve and knew what they wanted to accomplish. And Tashara and I just did our best to try to guide them in the right way, and give them advice as they went along.
Yeah.
So did you, outside of the Chick-fil-A dating, did you do dad and daughter dates outside of the Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, I mean, there's times when we'll go watch a movie. So, we'll go to the movie theater, we'll go watch a movie, or, we'll go to, Bake Bear in Nashville and go get some ice cream,
Or go look at houses.
or go look at houses.
That's a fun
Well,
date.
how was that for you, Destiny? Is that important to you? What do you remember about that, and how important was that to you?
Looking at houses.
No, just hanging
No.
out with your dad.
Yeah, we're curious, just like, so the importance of the dad and daughter like relationship. Like, what does that mean to you? What did those date nights mean to you?
It was pretty much, I guess, more like, in a way, just normal for me. And I didn't realize how most, or a lot of girls and guys grow up without their dads in their lives. And so it does make me like appreciate having a father in my life, and him coaching me in soccer. And I remember playing softball, and he would be like one of the coaches there, and cheering me and Tiffany on, and even Joshua, with him playing soccer when he was younger. My dad would be there coaching and cheering him on too, and just being present.
When did that like realization kind of hit that like other people don't grow up with this kind of relationship?
Probably middle school
And
high school.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of kids who just don't have a father in their life.
Yeah.
And I remember, my best friend, who's still my best friend, but she grew up not having a father in her life. And so my dad was kind of like a father figure to her while she was growing up too.
Yeah. That's so good. Jimmy, were you very like intentional about that because of like the fact, knowing that people don't grow up with that father figure? Also to her friends, were you intentional about just being there?
Oh, well, I guess the fact that the young lady that Destiny's talking about, the fact that they were best friends and they were always together, you know, it just I just assumed that she was one of the girls. She was part
Yeah.
of the team, and so you know, wherever there was opportunity for her to tag along with us or go places with us or for her to do things with us, you know, I made sure that she felt welcomed and that she was always, you know, willing, you know, to hang out and be with us and vice versa.
Yeah. What's something that you guys admire about one another? So like Destiny, what's something you admire about your parents? Just in general.
You can be open with them and them not like slap you on the hand quickly. Like if there's ever anything that we need to talk about, then the door is always open.
That's so good. So as a kid, like that's, I feel like one of the most important things that you can come and be like, do you agree with that? Or do you, yeah, just that trust. I know for us, like there's been so many times where I've told him things where he didn't abandon that trust, like, which was super important. How do you feel like with that, like your trust was built and with your dad?
I mean, kind of the same thing. You just like, I mean, if I tell him something and it's kind of like understood, like I don't want anybody else to know, or then he just keeps it in the family.
Yeah.
But she got to make sure she tells me that nobody needs to know this. She's got to make that clear. I mean, she got to make that clear.
I do have to make
Yeah.
I feel like that's for most people though. I mean, you gotta make it clear.
real clear.
Yeah. I guess how would you recommend if somebody's like trying to just start out and build this relationship, like and build that trust? Would you say that just going to them with something small, like what kind of advice would each of you have for the starting of that?
Well, relationships, communication is involved. And so, you know, talking and hanging out and just, I mean, if it's something like fresh, obviously you need to get to know one another by doing like small stuff. I wouldn't say that just put all your trust and just lay everything out, but just piece by piece, little by little, start that way.
Yeah. What would you say, Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, it all starts with, you know, everything that we do in life, it all starts with relationships, you know, relationship building. You know, whether it's with a coworker, a family member, you know, you're only gonna rely on people that you put trust in, and you can only establish trust through activities that help build the relationship. And you know, communication is a two-way street. You know, one person might be willing to communicate and another may not. And so, you know, the person that's willing to communicate has to be patient with the person who's not willing to communicate. And you have to allow patience to play its perfect work in you, because you can easily get frustrated when you're wanting to have a relationship with someone or start building a relationship with someone, but that person doesn't want to reciprocate. And so in that sense, you just have to respect their wishes, be patient, but continue to have an open heart and an open mind that one day the door will open up to where, you know, the communication or the building of the relationship can begin and start.
Yeah, that's good. That's so good. I feel like with relationships, like so obviously no relationship is perfect and they all have a little bit of bumps and flaws. But I mean, how do you guys recommend growing through those bumps? Like when there's tough conversations and you have to have maybe a tough conversation with your daughter, Jimmy, or like, how do you grow through that?
You know, if there are tough conversations that I have to have, I always like to get counsel from either my wife or my father or a friend, a close friend. And, you know, I will get counsel as far as, you know, letting them know what you know, the matter or the situation that I have to address, let them know what that is. And then express or explain to them, I'm not gonna say my fears, but maybe my concerns with having the conversation, so that, you know, you can get some counsel, you know, before you move forward with addressing that situation, you know, before you move forward with having that conversation. You know, I just think I don't know, I just think that's a little wise, just to bounce things off of other people who may not be as close to the situation as you are, that can give you, you know, some sound advice or some sound input on how you can approach a particular situation or particular matter.
Yeah, that's so good. That's great advice. Just, yeah. I feel like too with relationships, Destiny, I don't know if you've gotten to the point where you've kind of had to come to your dad with something, not necessarily a tough conversation, but just like, for example, I came to you and I was like, hey, I don't feel like we're really doing like spending quality time together, or it's all work or something like that. And so have you had to go through like one of those conversations yet, or like come to him with something?
So Destiny wanted to, a couple of years ago, she wanted to get a real estate license, or she'd been talking about doing real estate. And I have been doing everything within my power to persuade her not to go this direction, because, you know, a lot of people, they look at real estate and they say, man, I can make a lot of money. And yeah, you can make a lot of money, but you don't realize the sacrifice and the work that you have to put into it, to make the money that you're wanting to make. And so I really couldn't understand, you know, why she wanted to go in this direction. You know, Destiny has always been the person she's always been this independent person. And she's like, I ain't gonna work for nobody. I'm gonna work for myself. I'm gonna have my own business. And so she's just been that's just how she's been. And, you know, she was determined, you know, that she did not want to go into corporate America, and she wanted to, you know, establish and set her own path. And one day I come in and Destiny's like, I'm getting ready to take my real estate test. I'm like, what? Like, yep, I'm getting ready to go take my real estate test. And she took her test and passed it. And so it wasn't until I started to understand what she wanted to do in real estate that I began to say, okay, that's a little bit different from what I had pictured in my head when she said she wanted to get into real estate. And so, you know, prior to her getting her license, I know we've had several conversations about that, and where, you know, she was looking for my support in that. And I really didn't want to give her the support, but she did it anyway, because, she has that laser focus. And if she has her heart and mind set on doing something, she's just gonna go ahead and do it.
How'd you come across real estate, Destiny? Like where did that come from?
Well, my dad. So I think it was 2015 or 16 is when he got into real estate like full time. I've like seen him grow throughout the years, and just seeing some of the things that he does. And like I said before, we would go to houses and look at houses, and I just felt like maybe that was something that I wanted to do, because I originally went to school for music business, and I want to say the third semester before graduating, I quickly knew what I didn't want to do, but I was having a hard time trying to figure out what I did want to do. And so I knew my dad was in real estate, and it had been on my mind for like a year or two. And I had job shadowed a lady at his office, just to see if that was something that I wanted to do. And I went and job shadowed her, and I was like, I can really see myself doing this. And at the time, I had went back to school to get my master's degree, and I knew that I also wanted to get my real estate license, but I couldn't afford to do both financially. And so I put my master's on pause and went to get my real estate license. And once I got my real estate license, I was focused on getting into real estate full time. And so if my dad hadn't been in real estate, then that wouldn't even be, I would probably be doing something in music business that I could care less about. But
you are in real estate now. How's that going?
It's good. I've only been doing it for about 6 months now. I've learned a lot so far. Learned something every day. I work with people who have been in real estate, 20 plus years, and they're like, you learn something new every day. You're always learning. You're never going to know everything. So I'm enjoying it.
I find it interesting that you chose a career path that you wanted to get into because you saw the impact that it had on your dad and him growing and all the personal growth that he had and stuff. And you wanted to use that as a tool, but your dad wanted you to not do that.
Right.
I find that interesting.
My dad, he was in corporate America pretty much all of my life. Up until like high school, he was working for HCA, and he was always at work late nights. And I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. Like working all the time like that, and just not being at work more than you are with your family. And so once he left the corporate world and went into real estate, I saw the like transition from the time that he was able to spend with family, and instead of being at work, all the time, or just being the flexibility of real estate, instead of the corporate world clocking in, clocking out, that kind of stuff.
And now you're even seeing him step into other areas of real estate where, real estate is more than just being a realtor and having a realtor license. There's several other paths that you see your dad paving. What do you think about that?
I do think it's really pretty cool. I know he's learned a lot. He started off as a realtor, and now he does like land developing, and he's working on his first project, building a home. And we're going to get to help pick out, the appliances and lights and fixtures and all that. So I think that's pretty cool. And just learning from him, because it could be beneficial like later. And if it's something that I ever wanted to, think about or get into, I can call my dad. Even things like soil testing, and he's got experience with soil testing. And so just like getting to know like what land is good to build on, and this perks for how many bedrooms, whatever. It's just good knowledge to have.
That's very good knowledge to have. Yeah, a lot of people don't have that knowledge, and you're learning that from your dad, and that's super awesome. And you even learned how to hang siding.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, you guys remember that?
I know.
We remember that for sure.
We worked
There's
on a
some
flip house, and
experiences with that.
we're going to write a book about that.
I think it's mainly the dogs next door we'll write a book about.
Yeah. But just to experience that, I think that's totally awesome. I mean, that's what legacy is all about. As we talk about legacy, it's imparting these things to the next generation. So as your dad's paving a way, not to say that you have to go down that, but you're seeing firsthand the life changes that it's making in him. And now you want to be a part of that. And you're seeing, wow, look at the potential, look at the opportunity just in real estate. Now you're seeing not just being a realtor, but you're seeing many more opportunities just in the real estate. And that's incredible.
And not only like just real estate, but also learning from my mom and my dad about different streams of income and how important it is to not only save your money like in your savings account, but invest in your money so that your money makes money for you.
Right.
That's something we actually discussed in the podcast with Jimmy and Tashara, is how they didn't have that growing up. I don't know if you guys talk about like how maybe they didn't have that, but those conversations I feel like that they are having are just so important around money.
Well, yeah. What do you think about that? How important is it to you to have conversations about money? Have your parents, because not every parent talks to their children about money.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel about the importance of that?
I think it's very important, in the fact that they didn't have that teaching growing up, but they wanted to make sure that my sister and I, were taught and introduced to, how important it is to, save your money, just for, anything can happen. And if you don't have the money in your account, then you're pretty much, stuck. And not only just, having money in your savings account, but investing it in other things, whatever that may be.
Multiple streams of income.
Right.
I love it. Yep. So well done. So outside of money, so what are some of the other things? So we're in the middle of our legacy series, we're podcast where we're talking about just legacy in the form of passing things on to the next generation, where it's generational. So I know Jimmy is intentional on making the next generation better than what he had. And so there's lessons and principles and life lessons that you're seeing and observing. You just mentioned you observed him in the real estate and how he's grown. what other things, what other life lessons have you observed from your parents outside of the financial and the real estate?
Their marriage, how my dad is with my mom and how my mom is with my dad, and exemplifying what a healthy marriage looks like.
So explain that a little bit. Like, what have you observed? Like, what does a healthy marriage look like? And
well, one is communication. And so if there's ever like an issue or something, they always communicate and talk it out. I've never seen my dad yell at my mom, and I've never seen my mom yell at my dad. It's always been just a regular like tone. I don't even think they raise their voices at each other, now that I think about it. And so just, you know, loving each other and having their relationship built on God, and my dad being the head of the household and being led by God spiritually so that he can lead us the right way, is something that I take with me when it's my time to get married.
it's so good.
So you're gonna make sure you have a guy that loves God, has his head screwed on straight.
That's what she's saying. Doesn't raise his voice.
Does yeah.
Oh man.
How does it feel to you, Jimmy? You I mean, it as a dad, you work hard to make the next generation better, to impart these things, and now you're hearing that they're catching on. How does that make you feel?
I mean, it feels good, I'm always learning, we always want to try to be perfect, and we always try to be perfect, but unfortunately we have holes in our tires, and sometimes, or we have blind spots, we don't see everything. And when you're raising kids, you're gonna raise kids the best way that you can. And however your parents raised you will have a significant influence and impact on how you raise your children. And something that I've had to learn in the last 26 years is that the way my parents raised me, is I can't necessarily raise my kids the same way that they raised me. Some methods that they used don't work today, and so you're always looking and striving for ways that you can impact and influence your kids in a manner that is right. And so just being open and receptive, to the Spirit of God leading you and directing you, to show you, as parents, to show you where you may be erring in your ways and raising your children, can help bring you in line, to help correct some things as parents that we may be doing, that we can get straight, and help our kids. Hopefully, ideally, you want your kids to be in a better position, than you are, when they get to your age, and that's that's the ultimate goal. I want my kids, when they're in their 40s, to be significantly past or what I was able to accomplish when I was 40. And hopefully their children will accomplish more than they ever accomplished before they get to 40. And it can just it can just flow from one generation to the next to the next.
Very nice. So, what's is one of the things that we appreciate and we observe about you guys is that you guys always have a sense of humor. There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of laughter, and is that intentional? Tell us about like some fun times, or how do you generate the kind of the humor and the fun with each other?
I don't know. I just think we're silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just. I'm overall, I'm a goofy, silly person. I get it from my grandfather, who was silly. My dad is silly,
And I get it from my dad.
and
Yeah.
we just all, you got to have fun in life, right?
Right.
What's the purpose of living if you can't have fun? And we're learning to have fun during the good times and the bad times, because as long as we're living, you're going to have bad times. It's going to happen. The question is, how long are you going to stay there? And so if we can learn to rejoice in the good and the bad times and have fun, and always keep in the back of my mind that whatever it is I'm going through today, there's somebody that's going through something a whole lot worse than I am. And for that, I'm grateful. And so, whether it's singing or dancing or just acting silly, I just think it's important to have a lively atmosphere in this home and outside the home. Some people don't get my dry sense of humor sometimes, and I get offended when they don't get my dry sense of humor. But you know what? That's okay.
I'm talking to you, Destiny. The Facebook posts and stuff that they love so much, your kids.
Yeah. So yeah. So Destiny was doing her hair the other day, and she came down the stairs, and she had this. Man, Destiny's got a head full of hair, and her hair was like out to here. And as she came out of the laundry room, I had my camera turned.
Oh, that's not funny.
Oh, it's funny. I took a photo of it, and so.
You did not post it, Jimmy.
No, I did not post.
Okay, good.
I thought he was going there. We were immediately going to delete.
No. I'm working on establishing trust, right?
Right. Bring it back.
If I post that picture, then I lose trust. Then I got to work twice as hard to gain that trust back.
Right.
But
Amen, brother.
the next time, the next time she wanna act funny with me, I'm gonna pull that photo up. So I got. This is what you call leverage, Eric. Got leverage.
Oh my goodness.
So kind of wrapping up our session here. We always like to ask our guests what's the greatest lesson you've learned so far, or what's a piece of advice that you would give to the audience or the next generation. So
well, that's what we want to hear from you, Destiny. But Jimmy, you've already answered that question. So we've got a new question for you this time. We just want to know what's the greatest thing that you're learning in this season that you're in. So,
Okay.
Destiny, do you want to go first for greatest lesson or piece of advice that you would give our audience?
A piece of advice that I would give, probably to just keep pushing. Whenever it feels like you're at the end of the road, or everything is failing, or you're not going to do any better, or everything is just down, just keep pushing, because there's light at the end of the tunnel. And we all have bad days, but like my dad said, there is always someone who is having it a lot worse than you are. And so just keep pushing and you'll get through it.
Very good. Very wise.
That's so good. I love that too, because Jimmy's was very similar on our episode of keep pushing. There's light at the end of the tunnel. So that's how you know you guys talk. You know, they're listening to you, Jimmy. They're listening. So, what about you, Jimmy?
You know what I've in this season, you know, I'm learning that, you know, as parents, sometimes we want to live our lives vicariously through our children, and we kind of want to see through them. We want to see them maybe accomplish and do things that we were not able to accomplish and do as children. And sometimes we can try to artificially direct them, you know, in a place that they may not be willing or wanting to go. And you know, I say all that to say this. You know, I feel like the relationship that I have with my girls, I feel like it's a good relationship. You know, but as a father, I've struggled with my relationship with my son. And so, you know, on this past Saturday, I had to have a conversation with him. And, you know, I had to apologize to him. You know, I'm trying not to get emotional right now, but I had to apologize to him for not being the father that he needed me to be. You know, I had other plans for him, and maybe those plans that I had for him were not going according to the way I wanted them to go. And so it kind of made me maybe a little distant from him. And while he was going in a different direction. And you know, I kind of feel like as a father, you know, to a son, I could have been a better father to him. And so I had to apologize to him on Saturday. And you know, a lot of times we see people, we see families from the outside, and we look at them and everything looks good. You know, you look at these families and everything looks good, or at least that's the perception that people have. You know, we post all the good stories and good photos on Facebook and the good news on Facebook, but believe it or not, every family has some dysfunction. They do. And not every family is perfect. And I don't care who you know, TD Jakes, you know, there's dysfunction going on in people's families. And, you know, the blind spot for me, you know, in dealing with my son, you know, as you know, I've been able to recognize that blind spot and praying and hoping that, you know, moving forward, we can take the necessary and corrective actions to kind of mend that relationship so that I can have the same relationship that I have with them. I can also have that with him. And so, you know, I say all that to say, you know, each child is different. And so the way you raise one child may not work for the next child. And so as a parent, you always have to be open to being creative, and looking for ways to make sure that specific child is getting what they need from you as a parent, and not necessarily you pushing down what you think they need, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, that's very well said. It's very mature. If people who are listening, just to hear that wisdom that even at any stage of our life, we can make those corrections, to be aware and to make those adjustments and those corrections is a very mature and responsible thing to do. And it's very, very, very good advice. So with that,
now I need you to figure out how to go in and edit the crying part.
right.
If you can edit that, that would be really good.
I'll work on that. But we thank you guys so much. I tell you, Destiny is so amazing. She's just a great young woman. I look forward to see what she accomplishes. I mean, these are good friends. These are our good friends. They're family. Destiny, Jimmy, and the family. They're like family to us down here, and we just love them so much. Appreciate them. I mean, I just look forward to seeing what you can accomplish, Destiny, and just you got your whole future ahead of you, and you're just very sharp, very, very smart, very bright woman. Just keep up the good work. You're gonna go places.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah. Thank you guys.
nope. Is anything else you want to conclude with?
Thank you guys so much. And Jimmy, I always so appreciate your vulnerability on here as well. Just your willingness to come and say some of the hard things. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. But thank you guys again for being on, and to anybody who's viewing this, thank you. We appreciate you as well. So we'll see you next time on Legacy Builders.
Thanks so much for joining us today on Legacy Builders Podcast. Make sure to share this episode with your friends and family. And remember, today is a great day to start building your legacy.